everybody. Welcome back to the series on mistakes we made so that you don't have to. These are things we did in the early 2000s as we were starting with music supervision and sync and clearance that we went sideways on. We fumbled and failed sometimes. So we want to transparently kind of open the kimono and help you see those mistakes so that you don't have to go through those. So why I love this next mistake is that it touches every project you work on. We're going to be talking about know their pain. Every filmmaker, advertiser has pain points, right? And getting clear on those things helps you address them and helps you serve that filmmaker better. All right, so the struggle most people face is that supervisors sometimes think they have great artistic ideas, right? And their instincts are better and they really know all the cool music. And that is important, right? You have to know music, right? But what's infinitely more important is understanding your client's pain, right? The filmmaker, the advertiser, understanding their frustration gets you way further than just being artsy-fartsy. So what I want you to achieve from this video is getting really clear on knowing their pain, okay? So know their pain. That was a fumble. We weren't aware of it. It wasn't really a mistake or a failure. We just, thought about music only. And once we started to cue into people's pain and their frustration, then things started to ramp up way quicker, better, faster, and smarter. So let me just kind of back up and tell you our story. In the early 2000s, we were producing records. We had been producing records for 10 or 12 years, and every 3 months it was a different record. And we had started doing sync licensing on our catalog. And a friend of mine at BMI would call us every couple months and say, "Hey, John, I know you're doing some of this space. Would you be willing to take a phone call from people that call BMI, filmmakers, ad agencies, networks, Fortune 50 companies who are calling BMI needing help in supervising their projects, right? They were trying not to break the law, and they just needed somebody to kind of quarterback it and help them. So we thought, sure, we know music. We're artsy-fartsy. We have a catalog, right? So that was kind of our headspace. And then once we started to listen, and for years we said, no, we don't want to do that. We just want to be in the studio, right? But once we started to listening to the customers, and I told my friend there, I said, okay, yeah, let's send them our way and I'll see if we can help them, at least carve out 10 minutes to talk to them. So after a number of those, we started to really hear some patterns. And so that really helped us clue in to the frustration they were feeling and the pain point they needed solved. So these are some of the things that came out of those conversations. So know their pain. The first up is relationships. They needed somebody who knew the people that they didn't know, right? So being able to talk to the right people, whether it's family estates, whether it's artists, whether it's labels or publishers. Filmmaker in Austin doesn't know any of those relationships. Maybe they have a friend in a band, but they need somebody who has a deep Rolodex of relationships. So that was the first thing. Relationships was a key pain point for them. The next problem was what we call end-to-end. Somebody who understands the supervision process from beginning to completion, start to completion, right? We're starting a project, we're doing the project, and we're completing the project. They needed an expert who had done this, many times previously, right? So that was the first one. End-to-end was a big one. And another pain point was just the idea of liability. If you're a Fortune 50 company and you're making a film, or you're a first-time filmmaker, you can't not manage your music correctly, right? If you're not licensing your music, we're not right for you and we're not going to work with you, right? You have to know that music is valuable and you can't just use it freely, right? You all know that. That's why you're watching this video. But liability is a big problem. And for us to cue into that liability, whether it's a Fortune 50 company or a museum in Nashville or Netflix, Showtime network, liability is a pain point that supervisors have to be clear on. The next pain point is options. You have to be able to have optionality in the music you license. Maybe you want a song, The Boys Are Back in Town, but maybe your budget doesn't allow for The Boys Are Back in Town. So you got to have some options as far as where to go next, right? And the next problem is the idea of managing a budget. Okay. So 95% of the time, budget constraints matter, right? Maybe if you're Microsoft, you don't care about it, and those are awesome projects, but most people are there's some financial constraints around it. So knowing how to manage the spend, say if you've got $50,000 for a project, you need to know how to allocate that accordingly. So those are some of the pain points that we learned early on in fumbling, in getting sideways on some projects. These things helped us get upright, focused, and really address the pain point of our filmmakers and ad agencies. So that's what I have for you in this video. It's know their pain, and we will see you next time.
So